Hello, welcome back to today's video. We're going to have a look at weather next week, 10 days. In today's video, this will take us just before the start of the late spring bank holiday weekend. The second update for the late spring bank holiday weekend will be coming up this evening. So that'll be around 7 o'clock. This will go just up to that time frame. So, very nice day today. Most parts of the country very warm and sunny. And high pressure also going to be staying in control for the next week to 10 days at the very least. So, it's the same story really. It's going to be a bit of a shortened video actually, because same story essentially what I've been saying over the past few days, which is high pressure going to be dominating. Going to be a lot of dry weather. There's going to be a lot of warm weather as well. So, no change essentially in the outlook compared to the updates over the past few days. So, we'll start with GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. We're looking at London today. The red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're significantly above average today, so it is very warm and sunny across the country. Temperatures could get to around 25 degrees this afternoon. That's 77 Fahrenheit. We're going to see temperatures sliding a bit through the middle last stages of the week, so we know we're going to get this cooler blip from tomorrow through to Friday. But then over the weekend and into next week, temperatures, upper air temperatures are lifting up again. Also, I'm going to say generally quite warm then to close out the month. We are going with this ensemble graph now towards the very end of May. And it looks like we're keeping it significantly above average now through to the end of the month. As far as precipitation is concerned, look at this, completely dry down in London for the next week. There is some rain in the far northwest today, and that will move southwards and east as a weakening feature tonight and fizzle out. And essentially going to be dry through to the weekend. Next week there are precipitation spikes coming through. There's not that many of them, so it's a mainly dry scenario really even into next week. I think some of those precipitation spikes that we see there might be isolated thundery showers. We may get a little bit of instability next week that might produce some thundery showers, but essentially, you have to say, looking towards the last stages of May, there's not much sign of any particularly wet weather coming up. So these temperatures for London are looking like that. So that's 20 degrees just there, that's 10 degrees just there, that's 30 degrees up there. Excuse me, starting off around 20 degrees at the moment. Temperature will be lowering over the next 2 or 3 days. We know we're going to get this cooler blip through to the end of the week. But then over the weekend and into the following week, so into next week, temperatures lifting back up very close to 20 degrees once again. Of course, you can usually increase those temperatures by a few degrees as well. So, I mean, today it's forecasting maximums of 20 degrees. But we know actually temperatures are going to be nearer there into the mid-20s Celsius. So these do tend to undercut the temperatures a little bit. So where we see this sort of increase back to 20 degrees late in the weekend and through to next week, you can probably increase that into the mid-20s Celsius, dependent, of course, on sunshine. So here's the GFS for Saturday. High pressure will be ridging through the country on Saturday. You've got the Royal Wedding and also the FA Cup final coming up on Saturday. It looks like weather's going to be mainly fine for those events. There might be a few road showers in the south that might just dampen things down a little bit, but I think any one place will be very, very unlucky to catch that, and essentially high pressure going to be in control through to the weekend. In fact, on Sunday that high pressure will be strengthening a little bit more. We go through into next week. The high pressure remains dominant. Notice in the south, pressure is a little bit weaker there. We've got this easterly wind, a little bit weaker with pressure, so possibly more cloud coming across southern areas, and maybe some light showers at times as well. But essentially, the broad pattern you'll see is high pressure is in control. High pressure is in control over Scandinavia. High pressure is in control down towards the Azores. They're throwing up a ridge together like that. So basically, high pressure dominates with a lot of dry weather through most parts of the country. This continues into the second half of next week. If anything, the high pressure is just reinforcing itself through into the second half of next week. So very dry weather up to day 10. That is day 10, which is Friday the 25th of May. It's the getaway day for the late spring bank holiday weekend. And it looks like we could be in for a really good weekend again. So we had the May Day bank holiday weekend, which was very warm, classically dry and sunny, will be long remembered, I think. And it looks like it might do it all over again for the late spring bank holiday weekend, with high pressure just remaining very, very close to the country right way through to the end of the month. As far as we can go with the GFS is the last day of May, and we still see high pressure in control even then, sitting up to our northeast, bringing in these very warm east to southeasterly winds. ECMWF looks like this. So again, high pressure reaching through the country through the weekend. Again, a little bit weak with pressure down in the south, so a little bit of instability can't be ruled out for the south, but essentially again, high pressure is in control. That potentially looks a bit thundery there Tuesday next week. Be surprised if that generated some quite thundery downpours. But in the second half of next week, that actually gets out of the way. And look at this, high pressure is really strengthening then into the second half of next week. High pressure is dominating the weather. That's how things look at on day 10, as far as we can go with today's ECMWF. And high pressure is really, really in control there, dominating the weather, bringing lots of dry and very warm weather too. The GEM looks like that, so high pressure again. How many times am I saying high pressure through this video? So high pressure again, just in control through to next weekend, and it continues. Actually, that's just noticed that was last generated on Saturday. So obviously there's been some sort of issue with BGM, so I better get rid of that. Sorry about that. I hadn't noticed that when I got the chart up. So the GM hasn't updated since Saturday. So not sure what's gone wrong there with the Canadian model, but obviously there's been some sort of outage. Which I noticed that, I'm sure it would have been picked up on in the comments. We'll just finish off with the CFS V2 for the next month. We looked at these yesterday. It's high pressure fest all the way. Let's just have another look for today, purely because I'm trying to come up with something to talk about, really, because the outlook is very, very samey at the moment from one video to another. So, this is the CFS 500 millibar height anomaly for the next week. This is from the 15th through to the 21st of May, with above average heights to the northeast and ridging down into the UK as well. Below average heights in the week ahead up to the northwest. The jet stream is up here somewhere. That's a little bit wrong, so let's get rid of that and do that again. So the jet stream is up there somewhere, and so on the warm side of the jet, the close ridge of high pressure, going to be a lot of dry and warm weather in the week ahead. And this continues into week 2 as well. This is the 22nd through to the 28th of May, with again above average heights over Scandinavia and ridging down into the UK as well. Below average heights out around Greenland and Iceland. The jet stream is up there, and we're bringing in these very warm east to southeasterly winds. So high pressure all the way through towards the end of the month. And this is week 3. Look at this. It's just exactly what we were seeing yesterday. This is the 29th of May through to the 4th of June, with again above average heights centering over the top. It's over the top of the UK, and the jet stream is up there. So again, on the warm side of the jet, we're underneath that ridge, loads of dry and warm weather right way through to the beginning of June. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 5th through to the 11th of June. The high pressure then, above average heights, is to our west. So it's a slight change in position, and it would mean we would start to bring down, still a lot of dry weather, but we would start to bring down cooler air from north or northwesterly direction. But essentially, the next 4 weeks, if the CFS is right, is an incredible sort of high pressure fest. Temperature anomalies with CFS V2 for the next week look close to average. That might be a bit pessimistic, really, from a temperature perspective. I expect those to be a little bit warmer than that is showing. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. Expect that to be quite a lot warmer. Week 2 looks okay, though. This is the 22nd, 28th of May, covers the bank holiday weekend, and that's coming out warmer than average as well. Week 3 also coming out warmer than average. That's taking us up to the 4th of June, of course. And then week 4 is still above average with the temperatures, but to a lesser degree. You would expect that because high pressure is repositioning out to our west-northwest, so cooler air will be starting to come in around the top from the north of the Atlantic. Precipitation anomalies look exceptionally dry in the week ahead, and we go through to week 2, also looking generally on the dry and average side as well. Week 3, and by now normally precipitation anomalies are weakening, the signal is weakening, but not the case today. 29th of May through to the 4th of June, the third week is coming out drier than average again, and then week 4 rounds it all off, and that also is coming out drier than average. If this keeps up, I'm going to be really struggling for things to talk about in the videos, because I'm saying the same things every day at the moment, which is essentially high pressure. It's high pressure all the way, so we're starting off with a lot of high pressure now, and if CFS is right, we've still got a lot of high pressure going on even into the early part of June. So a really classic run of anticyclonic weather coming up. Of course, all that for the longer range roller is highly expected. So coming back to the more reliable time frame, which is the next week to 10 days, lot of high pressure, expect plenty of warm weather. There's going to be a cooler blip from tomorrow through to the weekend, but then over the weekend and into next week, we see those temperatures lifting up again, and essentially next week is looking pretty dry and potentially quite warm at times as well. Might be a little bit of a few thundery showers in the south maybe early next week. But I think overall, with high pressure in control, we're going to keep a lot of dry weather going right way through to Bank Holiday weekend. And that's where we'll pick things up. Oops, I just knocked my microphone. That's where we'll pick things up for tonight's second video. Around 7 o'clock, we'll have the second update for the late spring Bank Holiday weekend. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.